So now coming maybe to the most important point for some of you, or for anybody, basically, the basic problem of planting and growing trees is that the return of investment may be there, but it takes a long time. Farmers are used to get the income after 1 year, or I mean after some months, when they grow agricultural crops, and they always have problems in investing in trees, which may be productive after a couple of years only. They may not even be able to invest such amount of money, even if this will on the long term have a positive economic effect on them, which has been shown in many cases that such kind of agroforestry system can be more effective, financially effective and economically benefiting than the pure agricultural production. In Costa Rica, I found some study where they showed that you can have corn, pure corn field, or you can have pure eucalyptus short rotation copies. And I mean, in the case of corn, you have your income every year, and short rotation copies after 4 years only. For every 4 years, you have an income from wood then. But on the long run, the most economical thing was a mixture of both in this system of Taungia. So you can have 2 years of corn between the eucalyptus, and then 1 year where you have nothing, neither timber nor corn, and the 4th year you have a lot of timber. So this mixed system was financially more efficient than the pure production, but you have this 1 year with no income. And the first 2 years you have less income of corn because some of the land is grown, stocked with timber. So that's a problem. If the farmer needs annual income from all of his land, then he has a problem how to fund this periods where the income is smaller. And here's a list what possibilities could be used for supporting farmers. So either he has enough own money, which rarely will be the case, or he can take a bank loan if he gets one. That's a question. Or there is a system of micro credits, which may be helpful. I myself have given some of my money to such an organization which is giving microcredits to, or giving credits to microcrediting agencies all over the world. This also in India, there are some institutions which are being supported by this. So this could be one source for the implementation of agroforestry systems. Then of course government can give money for this, should give money. I don't know how it's working in India. Then there are even local NGOs or foundations in every country maybe who give money for this. Foreign states and foundations, this was the example of Rwanda, where it was funded by a German NGO and maybe even by one of the German states, this trial there. There are international agencies like FAO or World Bank or whatever. And finally, today's main topic is carbon credits. This is a point I will go a little bit more into details. I don't know whether you have heard of this. I think you should, because such kind of projects are going on since many years, not only with tree planting, but also with other projects which reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Since more than 20 years, this kind of projects are existing, and they are based on the idea that people or companies who are emitting greenhouse gases, they firstly, of course, should try to reduce these emissions as much as possible by saving energy or by using solar energy and whatever is possible in their case. But always there will be a rest of emissions which cannot be avoided. And this should be mitigated by other or by projects which reduce CO2 emissions or which store carbon, like forests are doing. There are certification companies who look for projects which could be used for this kind of CO2 mitigation. I myself worked for some time in a company like this. Prima Klima Worldwide was its name, or it's still its name, it's still working. It had been founded in 1993. That means just after I had done this research on CO2 mitigation by forestry. It was founded, and we offered private people and companies to compensate their CO2 emissions for 1,000 euro per, no, 1,000 euro, not per ton, 100 euros per ton, I think. It was 50 D-Mark, so it was 100 D-Mark, so 50 euro per ton CO2. We collected this money by these people who wanted their emissions become mitigated, and we sent this money to foreign, mainly foreign, not only foreign, but mainly foreign afforestation projects. Even in India, we had one. I was near Dehradun, there was one of these projects. I went there when I was there, but I didn't find any tree. So I don't know what happened there, but that was not okay in this case. But in Argentina, in I think in Kenya and many other countries, still projects are running where afforestations are being funded by this money from these German people and companies. There's a so-called voluntary market. So that means you can collect this money from people without a strong kind of control whether this CO2 really is mitigated exactly in this amount. So this is a voluntary market. People are happy if they know and are somehow sure that the money really is being used for these plantations, but there's also this official market where there's a need for CO2 reduction in European Union. It will become valid quite soon that every company has to reduce its emissions. And as far as it's not possible to reduce it, they have to give money for carbon credits to give it for this kind of afforestation projects. This will become more and more important in the next years, and the money, the price for the carbon credits, the carbon credit certificates will increase. And therefore, there is a growing need for projects where this money can go. And there are organizations like these gold standards, which are looking at these projects and organizing it, where you can try to develop a project in your country and get these standards from this organization and sell your carbon credits to the investors who need them. This is an existing market which will become more and more important in the future. So just to tell you what is necessary to develop such kind of a project, it's about any kind of greenhouse gas. So all the 6 greenhouse gases, which includes methane, for example, in the Kyoto Protocol, should be tackled. So, for example, it's not always afforestation or something like this. It can also be the use or the collection and use of methane from garbage from landfills. As you may know, landfills are the source of methane because of the digestion of the waste. This methane is being produced, and it's a strong greenhouse gas. Therefore, it's a good idea to collect this methane and to use it as an energy source. So this could also be kind of a project like this, or even methane from coal mines could be collected or whatever. There are so many ideas. Or what also happens is more effective stoves as a traditional project to reduce the fuel wood consumption, which is not effective at all. The traditional way of using fuel wood. So all these are kind of projects which can be developed under these schemes. What is important is this project always must be additional. That means you will not get money which are for projects which could be done without this money. I mean, which would be done anyway. So for this, you would not get the money. So it must be really an additional project, which would not happen without this funding. And of course, the project must not have any negative impact on sustainable development in these areas. So that means you have to involve the local stakeholders in that area if you want to afforest something or to create an agroforestry system. This surely will only be possible in a sustainable way if the local population wants this too, and if they are fully employed in this and fully integrated in the planning of this project. So this in every case has to be done, and it will be controlled whether it will happen. So this was the official global carbon market system, which can be used for supporting agricultural projects or agroforestry projects, I mean. But you can also collect kind of donations from organizations which collect simply money for tree plantings, like this one, the Global Initiatives of Young People. They are funding this project in Mexico, which looks like agroforestry, of course. They are based in Berlin, and they are collecting money with a system of reviews. So if you buy a product online and you are asked to give a review on this product, and for every review this company gets from their customers, they will pay €1 for this tree planting programs. And they do not manage these plantations themselves. They just give it to this organization, to their official partner. And this official partner of this program is the Plant for the Planet Foundation, which had been founded some 20 years ago or so, basically by this young man who was about 10 years old when he had the idea that the world needs more trees. So a very young boy was inspired by Wangari Maathai, which is a lady in Kenya, which had planted many thousand trees in her country, and she wrote a book on this, and that was the inspiration for this boy, Fink Beiner, who then decided that he wanted to collect money for tree plantings all over the world, and he founded together with his father this organization. And later, this young man from Nepal came to them. So he is also on the board nowadays. And he also started in the age of 10 with some activities because he was troubled by the melting of the Himalayas and by the illiteracy in Nepal. So he wanted to do something against this and helping young students to read and so on. So these two young men, who now are more than about 25, they started 15 years ago in the age of 10 with such big movements, which are now still existing and which, as I mentioned, are now collecting money for tree plantings all over the world. And of course, you can try to get some of this money for agriculture, for agroforestry plantations in India. you need to have a convincing project, and then you can try to source their money. In our carbon farming project, we are looking for business models, as I mentioned at the beginning, and these models are here the types of models which are not all applicable for agroforestry in India, of course, but which could be used in Germany. For example, here starting with models within the agri-food chain. That means if you create a label which says this milk has been produced by an humus-friendly production system which stores additional carbon, then you have to pay a little higher price for this. And then this money can help to improve the situation even more, so carbon reduction. In Germany, of course, we are having a big number of people who are aware of these ecological problems and who are willing and who are having the money to pay a little bit more for products which come from such kind of environmentally more friendly agriculture. So, but this goes over the agri-food chain. That means the milk production company is involved and the retail stores are involved. You can also try it directly. So the farmer himself is selling his products in his farm shop, and then he can collect the money himself for his extra spendings for more carbon friendly or climate friendly production systems. Then if the government supports this kind of systems, which is happening somehow in Germany, as I mentioned, these intermediate crops and so on are already being funded by European Union money, then it's like this, including government institutions. Or finally, if emission compensation takes place, so industry has to compensate its emissions, it can directly, the money can given directly to the farmer from the industries or via such kind of a system I just explained to you earlier. So this was all about the funding systems. And at the very end now, I just want to draw your attention to this system of biochar, which is in the very beginning in Germany, of course. If you convert biomass, mainly wood, to biochar, which is not charcoal, it's not precisely the same as charcoal because the production process is a little bit more sophisticated, then you can use this biochar for many purposes, like filtration material, like additional food for people. I mean, charcoal and char is also good for health, for people, for humans as well as for animals. And you can also add a slurry or bacteria compost to this biochar and use it for soil improvement. And the historical way of doing it has been found in Latin America. I don't know whether you have heard ever about terra preta. This is a layer in the Amazon rainforest which has been found rich of carbon, and this coal, a type of carbon of course, showing that even some hundreds or 1,000 years ago, people used this tropical rainforest area for intensive agriculture by using this biochar added with slurry and urine and whatever kind of organic material to improve the soil. And by this, it was even possible to produce agricultural goods in a tropical rainforest area where normally soil is very poor. So this kind of process is the idea, or I created the idea, and there are now systems to produce these biochar in such kind of devices. It's quite expensive, of course, and therefore it's a problem to promote it, but it can be used as an official CO2 mitigation effect, and therefore it's a possibility to get these carbon credits also for this system, and we are hoping that it can be promoted more, because it will be another way to take carbon out of the atmosphere and to put it down to the earth. So give me just a minute, I just need to go to the toilet. I will be back soon.
If any of the participants want to ask any question, so it is requested to post first on the chat box, and if some more clarification is required, then they are allowed to speak directly to the speaker.
So now I'm back, sorry. Okay, so this was this topic, and now I'm coming to the summary. As I explained at the beginning, there is an urgent need for more humus in agricultural soil everywhere in the world, you can say, nearly, and this need is becoming more and bigger due to the increasing risk of droughts and of floods, because humus is the way to better manage the soil water and to store more water and so on, if you have more humus in the soil. Agroforestry systems are an additional and very important way of mitigating CO2 and of making agroforestry more resilient against the climate change effects. As I mentioned, therefore you need trees, and trees are always expensive and a long-term investment, and therefore it's very important to find funding sources for the creation of agroforestry systems. But these sources are available basically. There's a lot of money which is seeking places to go, and it's our duty and our possibility to create good projects where the money can go. And that is kind of a business entrepreneurship opportunity for some of you people to learn more how to create such systems and to find the way to get the money there. So I'm thanking you for listening to me so long. I think we are somehow in time. And for more information, you can see these links to the carbon farming website and on my own website. It's in German, of course, but on this site you find links to some English websites, like this book I mentioned earlier from this American guy, and some other carbon farming or some other agroforestry literature in English. But you can also send me an email and ask me further questions. And now we may have our discussion, I think. Okay, thank you.